With the recent finale of Twin Peaks: The Return last Sunday, I think it's appropriate to take a look at the series as a whole and consider where it went wrong exactly. Now, this is a pretty difficult task, since there are a lot of problems consuming the show, ranging from poor character development and motivation, abrupt and unsatisfying conclusions or lack thereof for many of the characters, inconsequential characters and plot lines which are either randomly abandoned or ultimately serve no purpose in the grand scheme of things, etc. So I could get into all of this, but instead I'm going to talk specifically about David Lynch's self-indulgence when it came to the return of Twin Peaks. I think that this self-indulgence is best exemplified by the character Gordon Cole, who Lynch plays in this series. And this is mostly what I'm going to narrow in and talk about during this video. How Lynch ruined a great side character from the original series and film, and how it's part of a much bigger problem when it comes to Lynch approaching his own work. Oh, by the way, expect spoilers ahead, but if you haven't watched the show, consider yourself lucky.
What the hell?
How is Gordon Cole an example of a self-indulgent character, you ask? Well, Gordon Cole is basically David Lynch in this series, and that's not a good thing. There were some features of the Gordon Cole character which of course resembled Lynch himself in the original series, but Gordon was always a supporting character who served narrative purpose and was a great complement to the Cooper character. Now in this new series, Gordon Cole is featured prominently as a central character investigating something? I don't know. I guess he's looking into Evil Coop's case, says that it's a prime example of Blue Rose, then all of a sudden his focus shifts to determining who the dreamer is and whether or not Diane is a friend or foe. So all his investigation work ultimately goes nowhere at the end of the season, rendering many of his earlier scenes utterly useless. He has basically taken on the role of what our beloved Special Agent Dale Cooper would be doing if he wasn't reduced to a handicapped state as Dougie Coop for nearly the entire season. And while Dougie was staring at statues and scribbling stuff on paper, Gordon Cole was drinking coffee and wine, eating donuts, flashing thumbs up, and trying to solve Blue Rose cases with the crew, which includes his boy Albert, who mostly just sits around while Gordon does the bulk of the talking, Diane, who is played by one of Lynch's favorite actresses, Laura Dern, and of course Tammy Preston. Gordon actually initiates Tammy Preston, played by Krista Bell, who gives one of the worst performances in the entire show, into the Blue Rose task force at one point, because Lynch likes her music? And her ass, I guess? I don't know, but she did nothing of note the entire season. Seriously, the only characters who appear in more episodes than her are Cooper and Hawk. And what has she done all season, I ask? So what are some other things that point to the fact that Gordon Cole is essentially David Lynch? Well, Gordon suddenly likes drawing stuff that resembles work from earlier in Lynch's career, and in the same scene, he has a supernatural vision of the horrible transparent footage of Laura Palmer at his doorway. This is the sort of supernatural stuff that Cooper should be seeing, and it also should hold some significance as well. Speaking of supernatural encounters, Gordon also investigates the vortex location that Bill Hastings tells him about, and Lynch has a fun moment with that. You also have Gordon smoking a cigarette and sharing a tender moment with a tulpa. I mean, this could seriously pass for behind-the-scenes footage of Lynch and Laura Dern. Then probably the most unforgivable of David Lynch's antics as Gordon Cole is the fondness he has for younger women. Denise even accuses Gordon of something like this earlier in the season, and Gordon responds as if he was Lynch defending his behavior throughout the years. It's whatever, but a 5-minute scene where David Lynch is smiling like an idiot while a French girl goes through some unnecessarily long exit ritual or something? This shit's for the birds. At the time of this episode's release, I remember everybody defending it by saying, oh, that French girl is sort of like the girl from Fire and Walk With Me, and Gordon was giving coded messages to Albert just in case someone was listening in, you know? No, I knew this was more Lynch apologist bullshit when I heard it back then, since it doesn't make any sense in the scene for numerous reasons, including the fact that Gordon didn't summon Albert to his room, and also they end up talking about Diane's messages freely later on in the scene. And of course, it was just another scene that didn't amount to anything. But Lynch seemed to be enjoying it. He also ridicules Albert for taking his job too seriously in this scene. No wonder they accomplished nothing during the entire series. I've noticed that fans of the show like to attribute deep meaning to many of the scenes which simply isn't there. The discrepancy between what the show has to offer and what the fans interpret is unbelievably disparate. But it all ties into the idea that people love to offer their own interpretation of events, where they're able to offer their own personal meaning, thus satisfying their needs to fit media into their own narrative and liking. It's like they get to make their own TV show, but without any of the hard work. Yeah, I was thinking about the chronology of the series, and the one thing that never fit into all the attempts to piece together exactly what was happening in late September, early October. Everything happened was the scene with Andy's Rolex. He's waiting for a 4:30 meetup and the other person never shows up. But his watch clearly shows the date as the 10th, and Lynch doesn't make continuity ever in his career. David Lynch is a perfect artist who has integrity and was manufactured for a purpose. Also, what's with this Monica Bellucci dream? Oh yeah, Lynch probably had dreams of her at some point, except they were a different kind of dream than the one displayed in the show.
What?
Fans speculated endlessly about what exactly would make Cooper snap out of his childlike state. Would it be the coffee, the cherry pie, an encounter with a midget hitman, intercourse with Naomi Watts? No. None of these, silly. It was the mere mention of Gordon Cole's name on TV that triggered Cooper to electrocute himself. Also, Lynch shows some revisionist history where he has his character deliver some exposition about Judy, who was apparently originally named Zhao Day, which means to explain. The ultimate negative force is to explain things. I get it. You're so clever, David. Then at the end of the series, because of how long they spent with the other bullshit, there's suddenly little time for Cooper to address characters from his past. Don't worry, he does have enough time to address Gordon though, but not his boy Albert. I guess Albert's not quite as cool. And then Cooper is suddenly teleported and has to use the hotel key, and he's accompanied by who other than Diane and Gordon Cole, who doesn't show up again in the series. Which makes you wonder why he was even in the scene, other than Lynch wanting a cool Twin Peaks image with himself in it for his desktop background. Lynch also shows self-indulgence in many other ways than just his character. The idea of having 18 hours of Inland Empire-esque stuff, the Roadhouse acts with some of his favorite artists and friends, pointless scenes which linger on way past their expiration date. All of these and much more have Lynch's trademark all over them. At one point in part 17, Albert goes, "You've gone soft in your old age." To which Gordon Cole, or David Lynch, whoever, replies, "Not where it counts, buddy." This line says it all, as Lynch has to reassure the audience that he hasn't gone soft down below at age 70. Don't worry, David, we'll grant you that, but your days of being able to form an interesting, cohesive, worthwhile story are long gone. Finally did it. Hopefully this works. He's first or he's best. I don't know.
I am the arm. And I think this.
What? $40 for more Lynch bullshit? How's Annie?